My lords, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome back to Transport Fever 2 and our passenger only series. So this is episode number 9. Last time out we'd set up another branch line that ran from Carlisle, Leeds to Staveley, I believe it was. And to achieve that we did have to expand the station here at Leeds to make some more platform space, just to ensure that we weren't having to overload platforms by having shared services on a single platform. Between episodes I've gone through and just looked at our remaining services, or sorry, I should correct myself there. I've looked at the other stations to see where else an auxiliary service may be of some benefit, and I believe I have another idea in mind. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to see how it works out for us. So if we bring up the user interface, we can see we're nice and stable now with a decent cash flow and a very healthy bank account. We're in 1967 and we can see the date is progressing nicely. So in terms of what I'd planned out for today, if we go to the Carlisle station, we can see obviously the north-south main line is very busy, and we have a lot of people taking the main line into Thurrock. My idea was to have a circular line that runs from Carlisle into Leeds. We'll have a little junction here, so then we can get from Leeds direct into Thurrock. We turn around in Thurrock, head to Sheffield, and then from Sheffield would go back to Carlisle and would just loop through like that. These trains that go on this auxiliary service, much like the Carlisle, Leeds and Staveley branch, they're not going to be very big trains at all really. They're just a way to hopefully offset some of the impact that we're having here. At the moment, obviously, the overcrowding is on the northbound platform heading towards Poole and Lowestoft. And as we mentioned in the last episode, what we could do to alleviate some of that, as well as this circular line that we're going to construct today, is we could amend the trains that we have on our main line. We could add an extra carriage or even 2 carriages to each train that we currently have running. We have 4 at the moment. Or we could look at adding a 5th or even 6th train, or we could do a combination of the 2. However, we'll come back to that later because I'd like to get this circular line set up first of all today. So like I said, the first thing we want to do is get a junction from here to somewhere over here, so the trains have a way to get from Leeds directly into Thurrock without having to come into Staveley and turn around or anything like that. So let's make a start. So we'll do the usual tactic of using the outer tracks to connect over like this. Just turn off the tunnel there, and this way we can see what sort of state the overlap would leave our rails in. Now over here it's not too bad, could be fine-tuned a little like that. Let's wait for the train to clear. Yeah, like that. Let's see what sort of impact that's had up here, because it may have messed everything up here. Let's have a look. No, it's not the best, but it's not too bad. Now I'm quite happy with that. So that was a nice, simple, pain-free process there to get that set up. So let's bring over the second line now. Although, thinking about it, really for now, we only need it to be one way, don't we? Because we're not coming back along this branch. So why don't we just keep it as a one-way system for now? So let's just make sure we're on the right side. So we'd be coming this way from Leeds. So yep, that's fine. And you are going over to the correct side for arrival into Thurrock. So for my money, there's nothing else that needs to be done here apart from perhaps adding in a couple of signals along here, just so we can control traffic in and out of this new junction that we're constructing. So a signal there, so if anything's passing through, we're not going to have any collisions or anything like that. We put a signal there so we can clear the junction block behind us, so anything that does have to wait at this signal isn't having to wait for too long. And then a couple of signals as blocking signals along here. We then want a signal there. How long is that junction block there? That's not too bad. I might leave that as it is, so this one should be the priority way, and this one will be one that by and large should have to wait. But other than that, everything is ready to go. One thing we also want to do is if we check Carlisle, we can see we have 4 platforms and all 4 platforms are currently assigned to a service. So we're going to want to expand Carlisle. To begin with, we'll need to expand it by 1 platform. So all we'd have to do is run tracks down this outer edge, and that'll bring in the 5th platform. So let's do that. So we'll configure this, and we'll use a high-speed tracks with catenary, run it down like that, and then we just have to connect it into the network. So let's do that. So how do we want to do this? We're a bit tight on space. We don't need to connect it out that way. Again, at least not for the time being. So we'll just do as much as we need to, rather than doing everything all at once. So let's have you shoot out like this. Let's make sure we're actually on the correct node there. And then why don't we have you come to about there. That's a pretty decent speed for a station approach. And then after that signal there, and after this junction here, we could have you do that. And then this would be 2-way track in and out of the new platform. So what we'd need here then is a 2-way signal, and we'll use that one. So if we put the 2-way signal there, then a train departing the platform can wait here. If it cannot get out onto here, in fact, you need to be a double slip. In fact, better idea. Let's just remove that signal. I may have just had a flash of inspiration just to keep this looking a little different. Hopefully this is going to work, although it looks like it might struggle. Yeah, there we go. Let's have you run out this way, and after that signal there, we'll merge these 2 together like so. So this stretch from this switch here, this little stretch here, can be 1 way. So let's do a 1-way signal here, and we'll line it up level with that signal there, because they're both controlling access into the one line now. So that can all be 1 way. This fellow here still needs to be bi-directional. So what's going to happen now is our train, as it arrives from Sheffield, is going to come up here, cross over here, and then head on into platform number 5. And then as it departs, it will come down here, and then rather than using a double slip switch here and having it come out this way, it will take this new short stretch of track here before merging in over here for onward journey into Leeds. Do we have a spare platform in Leeds? We only need it to be 1 direction because we're not coming back on ourselves, and yes we do, we have platform 1 available. So we'll send them into platform 1 at Leeds. Then they would come down here, take this 1-way branch here, cross over into Thurrock. Thurrock needs some extra platform space desperately, but we'll have, well, like I said, I'll do that off camera because it's going to be a lot of work to remodel the station aesthetic. So for now we'll have to share, but I'll take care of this after this episode's concluded and before episode 10 begins. Anyway, then we head out from Thurrock, we take this line here, which is shared, and it shouldn't be too busy, so no real dramas there. Merge in into Sheffield, where we have plenty of platform availability, and then we leave Sheffield, come up here, and as we've just discussed, head into Carlisle onto platform number 5. So let's get this line started then. So this is a new line. We'll use a green colour for this because we haven't used that on any of our lines at the moment. One thing I did do between episodes is just change the colour of the Carlisle, Leeds and Staveley branch to a burgundy colour because it was very similar to the mainline pink, and to save any potential confusion I've given it a very distinctive separate colour. So that's what we're doing here as well. We're using a green colour because it's very different from anything else we have used, so we can see at a glance what each line currently is. There will be a time in the future, I believe, when we are having to have very similar shades. But what we can try and do is keep them separate from one another. So for example, if we had to use another shade of green, we'd have it somewhere up here, where as we're looking at a view like this, we've got all your line colours on display at once, we're not going to get ourselves confused. Anyway, enough about that. So we're coming from Carlisle and it's already chosen platform number 5. We're then heading to Leeds, and let's put you onto platform number 1 at Leeds. After Leeds, we're heading to Thurrock. Now this is where we're going to have to share and really cramp up these platforms here temporarily, but like I said, we can take care of that between the episodes. It won't be too much of an issue. Then after Thurrock, we're into Sheffield. You've opted to share there. Let's put you onto platform 1 so there's no overcrowding potential there. And then you come back to Thurrock. And yep, this is all bi-directional as we know. And then you're back into platform 5, and as we can see, they've opted, or they are using this little connection line here to keep it separate, which is quite nice. And they should be using this one-way line here, and yes indeed they are. So because we've got quite a few cities here, we'll just use the letter abbreviations for this. So this is Carlisle, Leeds, Thurrock and Sheffield, and we'll call it the circular because it is just a circle route. We don't double back on ourselves anywhere. So that's great, that's set up. We want a train to run on this new circular line, so all the way down to Hull, to our depot. And maybe this time we will look at using a multi-unit. Maybe we'll use a couple of these, the CLE24 Rotophile. It does a decent speed, and if we have 2 or 3 units per train, then we're going to have a decent capacity as well. The tractive effort's not great, so pulling off from a standing start is going to be quite poor. As we can see, only, well, the tractive effort combined will be, what's that, 135 kilonewtons. But we can see we do get up to speed pretty decently. And it's 8 million for 1. I think to start with we'll go for 2. So that's 16 million for the 2. We used, what colour was it? I think it was that colour there, wasn't it? Let's just have a look. Where are you? Yes, it was. So they can now be assigned onto this new circular line. So CLTSH circular. And away they go. So we'll give that time to bed in and see how that's going to perform. Hopefully it does a decent enough job. If it doesn't break the bank, I'm quite happy. It doesn't have to make us a small fortune or anything. These are just auxiliary services just to help the traffic flow in and out of our stations, or the passenger flow I should say, in and out of some of these stations here. As we can see, a lot of people still opting to use a CLSTTH branch, which is Carlisle, Leeds, Staveley, Thurrock and Hull. So not many people yet have hopped over to the new branch we set up last time out, but give it time, they should start to make that move over in the future. So now we'll turn our attention to this main line because we do have overcrowding issues. We don't have them at Hull, but we do at Thurrock, we do at Carlisle. How is Lowestoft? Yeah, overcrowding there, and I guess the story's the same here at Poole. In fact, no, it isn't. Now, I don't think 4 trains is enough to cut it because we are in total calling at Hull once, and then Thurrock twice, Carlisle twice, Lowestoft twice, and Poole. So that's quite a lot of station calls. So I think the first thing we will do is add a 5th or maybe even a 6th train to this service. And I'm going to go for an extra 2 trains, I think. So now we have to come up with names for them. So last time out we used the Prince of Wales. This time let's go for the Duke of Wellington. And this time we shall use, let me have a think about this. What do I want to use? I think we'll go for the Charles Dickens. Okay, so that's those trains. They should be all heading out one at a time from our depot, and they are. It's caused this service to have to wait a little bit while they get clear. That's not too much of an issue. It's only a temporary thing there. Have our new rail buses got themselves out and about? Yes, we have one just departing Thurrock. No, just arriving, I should say. I bet there isn't any pickup initially. It does usually take maybe a year or two in-game for them to make that switch, maybe a bit longer. And we have our other one here. Oh, you do have some passengers already, so that's reassuring. Anybody waiting at Sheffield? Yes, we have 4. Where are you all heading to? Carlisle. Anybody at Carlisle? Decent pickup already there with 12, 13 and climbing. Only 2 at Leeds. We don't go to Staveley, so we don't need to check that. But yeah, that should just help keep things a little bit more manageable as we go from here on out in terms of passenger numbers at these stations. So, what next? Is there any other service we might want to consider setting up? Let's have a look at Lowestoft. We could think about like a direct service from Lowestoft to Thurrock. That's a potential. Where are you all going from Poole? Carlisle. So we have the main line, which obviously calls at every station on the main line. But we could do alternate stations. So for instance, we could have a Poole to Carlisle service, a Lowestoft to Thurrock service, and a Hull to Carlisle service as well, depending on the popularity there. No, that wouldn't be much use. We don't have many people wanting to go to Carlisle from Hull. What about the reverse direction? Would there be use for that? 111, no, I don't think we'd need that. So we could do that. I'd be reticent to do anything with Thurrock at the moment, just because of how much shared capacity we have on these 2 platforms. They are being very, very heavily taxed at the moment. So we'd probably not do that, but we could do a hopping service that goes from Poole to Carlisle, because we have a lot of people wanting to go from Carlisle to Poole, and from Poole we do have a high demand for a service to Carlisle. So what would that look like then? Well, it would require an extra platform at Carlisle. It certainly wouldn't at Poole, because we only have the one service at the moment, which is of course the main line. When we do expand this main line, it's going to cost us a small fortune, as we can see, because we'd have to demolish all of this here to make room for the rails, but that's not an issue for today. So do we want to run another new track into here with another platform along the outer edge? That would be platform number 6. I think we do. We've only been going for about 15 to 20 minutes so far, so we should have time to get this up and running today, especially because we don't need to do any modifications in Poole or anything like that. So let's chuck in the new platform. So there's the track for said platform. Now I want the platforms, and we'll use these ones here. In fact, let me just have a look here. Are they the same height? So that's the one we've used as standard, and it's blue trim, of course, because, well, it's a mainline station. What about that one? Is that elevated up? Yeah, if you look at that, see, that platform is quite a step up from the platform on the left. So that's where our passengers would lose their ankles waiting there, which is always a bit weird. So I think we'll just use the generic passenger platform for this one. And this will give it a similar vibe to what we have at Leeds, where we can see where the aftermarket, if you will, modifications are being made. So then we want the underpass. Is that? Oh no, we don't want to do that one. So we'll have to use the generic underpass here. So we'll put one there, one there, and yeah, we'll go one there as well. I guess all of these would result in a new yeah, so we can't use those. What about the roofs? We could use those just to add a bit of variety to the station aesthetic. There we go. And now we just want to connect this in. Now, because this platform is only hopping up north to Pool, we don't have to worry about how we connect it in here, but we will give it a connection just for completion's sake. So very simply like that. Nothing should come in from the south onto this platform, so we don't need to worry about signals and any potential confusion. And similarly, as we depart, we shouldn't have anything coming in from the south onto this platform, so we can give this one a simple connection without any concern of messing things up for other services in the future. So let's do a nice long connection over here, and I think what we'll, in fact, maybe just try something a little different here. Let's come from here. Are you going to let me do that? No, you're not. I guess it's because it's too long of a crossover there. So let's cancel that. And let's instead use that signal as the marshalling signal into the platform. Bring it parallel to that there, like so. And then how can we achieve this one? Getting a collision there. So we could have a very staggered junction if we wanted to, like this. And I see no harm in that, so that's how we'll handle this one. This fellow then wants to connect in so it can actually get to the platform, like that. And then you can just squeeze in nice and short there. As I said, we shouldn't have any traffic from the north coming onto this platform here, platform 5. So that shouldn't be, or it shouldn't cause us any issues down the line. So let's get some signals together for this new connection that we've had to fit in. So this is one way here up until this point, of course. So let's use that one. Let's have a one-way signal there. Do we want another signal along here? No, I don't think we do. And then that's all okay. I might put a short signal in here, like that. And then we want to put a couple of signals as blocks for the station approach for this hopping service. Need to think of a better name than the hopping service, but yeah, like that. We need gantry, but I'll likely do that between episodes because I'm conscious of time and how fiddly it can sometimes be. So now we can set up this new service. So we are coming from Pool, bypassing Lowestoft to Carlisle, and we want it to be on platform 6 in Carlisle, like that. And this is what I was saying about the colour differential. Yes, they are quite different in shade, but at a glance it probably could lead to some confusion. So we'll give that an orange colour scheme, and that way there's no chance for any confusion. Do we want to extend this into Hull, bypassing Thurrock and coming into Hull? Do we want to do that? Not right now. We might do that in the future, but I think we'll leave this as a 2-station service now. And this can be the Pool Carlisle. Do we want to call it the Express? Why not? So the Pool to Carlisle Express. Everything's fine there. Yep, you're doing everything correct there. And I guess you're not sharing a platform up here, are you? No, you're not, so that's wonderful. In fact, I'm going to stick you onto a different platform, just so some of this gets used up, if you will, some of this track that we have constructed. So you can go to platform 4 when you get to Pool. And in fact, that's not a bad idea anyway, because when we do extend the main line up to possibly direct to Wigan, maybe Dunstable, we'll see, it does mean that when the main line then heads back down the way, we have both of these platforms for a north and southbound. So northbound platform 1, southbound platform 2, and we don't have to move the express over onto platform 3 or 4 because we've already done that. So that will work for now. So now we can get the train for this new service. Now I've called it the Express. Whether it has an express sort of train on it remains to be seen. Let's see. So the top speed we can possibly do is 87. Yes, none of the multi-units exceed that. Do we have an 87 capable loco? We have the A4, which we are using on the branch that we set up last time out. Let's have a look. The 1042, but we are using it on the main line, so I'll probably opt to steer clear of that. The Crocodile is quite poor in terms of speed. That's not really sufficient. We could use the A4 again, I suppose. There's no harm in it. Yeah, let's do that. So this is orange. So one locomotive, obviously. And passenger wagon, 1, 2, 3, 4. Is 4, maybe even just 3 is going to be sufficient, just as, like I said, a sort of auxiliary service, a supplementary service to the main line. Maybe 3 is going to be enough. And 1 train for now? I think so. So let's now assign you to this line we've just set up, which is the Poole Carlisle Express. And I think that's where we'll end it for today. So before we go any further, let's pause the calendar. Do we want to take a ride on the new circular line, or do we want to go and have a ride basically from down here from the depot all the way up to Poole? I think we'll do that. It's quite a long cab ride, but let's treat ourselves. So let's get on board, get comfortable on the Mallard, the Class A4. Or was it the A2? Do you know what? I really can't remember, and I should be able to remember that. I don't know why I can't. I've convinced myself it's A4. I'm going to have to check, because that's going to bug me if I don't. Details, let's have a look. It is the A4, I was correct. Never doubt yourself. Let's get back on board. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the episode. As always, a very special thank you to those of you who support over on Patreon. Your generosity and dedication is deeply appreciated. Thank you very much indeed. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, all that remains for me to say is, as always, take very good care of yourselves. It's ta-ta for now.